afternoon, and welcome to another fun-filled day here at Martelli.
Welcome.
Special guest for you today. Before we talk about our guests and what we're going to get into today, we're going to go over a couple really quick announcements. One, first and foremost, the fiber lines. Our fiber lines, they came out last week. We have a game plan. It's going to be they're going to start installing here very shortly. We have a quicker and more direct line to our facility.
Fiber.
And then also, I'll push mute on that one real quick. I don't know if it's just turn the volume down real quick. No, turn the volume down here.
Okay.
Yeah. So fiber lines, we're super excited about the fiber lines. That's going to be a lot of fun. As many of you know, we have an open house. Before I even get started, I know Brian and I want to welcome many people over from Quilting on a Budget. They're watching today, and we want to welcome you as special guests as well as our special guest.
Yeah, they may
Seth
know.
Hackler.
They may know that person already.
They might know him.
Have a little
There's that
bit.
handsome
There he
fella.
is.
There's that handsome fella. So we have him joining us today. But our open house. So the reason why I mentioned that, many of you that know of Martelli but don't really know Martelli, we have an open house here at the storefront. That will be in the last weekend of June. So a lot of fun, exciting things going on there.
That's
a lot
right.
of trade-ins. We give the best value in the country, I've been told, on trading in machines. $8 to $12 fabric prices on yardage, $250 fat quarters, food, refreshments, fun, and giveaways.
You can't. Hey, that's a fun environment when you come to an open house. I don't care who
Especially
you
when
are.
you have waiting lines to get in. That's always fun. You don't have to wait long, but it's always fun to see that many people at one facility.
Absolutely.
A lot of camaraderie, a lot of fellowship going on at these fun events.
And we are fully open over here in Florida, so
Yes.
you will be able to come in with no problem.
Yep.
So make sure if you want to make that road trip, please come on.
Yeah,
We're
we'll
fully
get you in.
accommodating.
And then one thing that Seth mentioned to you on the group, we are going to do some giveaways today.
Yes, we are.
We're all about giveaways here at Martelli, not just because it helps promote the business, which obviously that does. We love to give whenever we can, whether that it's a charity or whether it's quilters or whether it's somebody that doesn't have anything to do with quilting. I know we did a couple giveaways on some facial care products and some pedicure products. We did some giveaways. Just all kinds of giveaways.
We try to give away as much as we can, as often as we can, because why not?
Yeah, and that's the thing, man. Talking Martelli is so much bigger than just sewing quilting. Yes, it's another revenue stream, but there's so many topics out the world that people are, they're longing to hear about and they don't know, and just we might have one of those topics, and our special guests are always very knowledgeable and the authority on whatever the topic has to be of that particular show. So you want to tune in because you're always seeing professionals in their collective industries, and they're very smart. That's why they got to be where they're
opening
at today.
the doors to that profession too.
Yeah,
Some you wouldn't know it unless you actually dive into what they're doing. Who would know? Like we've had that happen. Like even with your mom, and your dad. Like deep diving into that stuff was very telling.
Yeah,
and very nice. And some of it was
the esthetician. Well, we've never been involved with esthetician, so we brought a special guest.
Absolutely.
That was a professional.
She showed us what goes on behind the scenes.
And believe it or not, I had a lot of text messages and a lot of messages on Messenger that said, "Man, I really enjoyed that. I learned so much," because they didn't know and we didn't know.
We even talked about the guys part of that. The women know how to take care of themselves for the most part.
Oh yeah.
And so when we deep dove into what me and you need to do, we figured we need to start getting our stuff together.
Yeah, and then some.
I want to look pretty.
Yeah, and even though there was a lot of women on there that knew about a lot. There's a lot of tricks and so if you didn't see that episode, you want to go back and watch it. But there's a lot of tricks and techniques that she shared, things made that you didn't know. Which brings me to my next topic, our special guest today. So the thing about Seth, and what really interests me is I know I've been starting from the very beginning and brought Brian on board, and trying to start a group from the ground up, whether it be Talking Martelli or whether it being the Martelli Quilters Group.
That's right.
It's a tough task.
It's not easy as one may think. I mean, it's a lot of effort and work that go behind it, as I know now, and it is a ton. And it's not. I guess we would say it was never ending. Yes, it's upkeep is what it is. But if you enjoy what you're doing, it's fun to keep that going. Yeah, it's so much fun and rewarding too.
Very rewarding. And I don't know about Seth, but I know that part of my strategy to build the Martelli Quilters Group was having the understanding that you have to be at these people's beck and call, and it's more than you develop that relationship, which in turn, yes, it does bring you business. I'm not going to deny that, but the most importantly is you build lifelong companionship or friendship that you might not normally have, and getting involved in their personal lives. And I think I can't prove this, but I think that's why, in a 2-year period, we're over at 6,000 people now. But here's the key. The people we have on the Martelli Quilters group, they are diehard, and they're not just diehard, they're very loyal.
Very loyal. Very loyal.
And I think that's from doing, and I kind of modeled what we did after what Seth did, really deep dive into them and take care of them as people first, and then the business aspect comes second.
Yes.
But taking care of them on a personal level.
And I think it rolls into a natural way. Like when I've seen what you do, and then I do it now too, but I've seen what you do, and it rolls into a natural position of availability, right?
Availability is a big word.
It's huge, huge. Like even with us, we sometimes we go out and when we get a chance, we go play golf, right?
Yeah.
So how many times are we on the phone when we play golf?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah, we take that phone call even on the ninth hole, I promise you.
Yeah. And here's the thing too. It's not just that. There's been times where I've been on phone calls. Mm-hmm. I'll give you a perfect example, and I'll use Quilting on a Budget as an example. We did a virtual trade show for them probably about 3 months ago. And I was taking an order. I don't know if it was for a custom. If my memory serves me correct, because I talked to so many people, it was a custom wool pad that was 30 by 68. It was some weird measurement. But I was selling that Sunday night at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
And that's because I give my number to my group, and other groups are like, I've had so many people say, Dave, are you crazy? And yeah, you might think I'm crazy, but I do that to build up that rapport and let the customer base and my friendship base now know that I'm here, and it doesn't matter if you need something. I'm going to do my darndest to make sure that you're taken care of. If that's Saturday night at 6 o'clock, Sunday 10 o'clock at night, or Monday through Friday 10 to 4 regular business hours.
And that's why we always say like, hey, so you've got my cell phone number. What time does it close?
Yeah,
it never does. So we always have that availability, and we'll always keep that availability for you. That's how you get those relationships, and I think it shows.
So I
love my peeps.
Yeah, and I want to bring Seth on, and I have some questions. And I just so you know, I don't ever give my guests a time, because I want those answers to be authentic from the heart. And that's one thing I know that I can depend on Seth. And we're going to get into this when we ask him some of these questions, but. Right from the beginning, Rob introduced, and he's watching. Hey, Rob, out there. I saw a post that you posted, but even from the very beginning, I think Jimmy needs you. Seth, even from the very beginning, Seth, let me know straight up front that, hey, man, I'm going to let you know right off the rip that I'm very honest, and I don't push products that I don't believe in. And so one of the things that I appreciate about Seth, and one of the things he's done in his group, is one thing that his group can count on from Seth is honesty. And I model myself after Seth in that regard. So when we're on the Martelli Quilters group, the ladies on there, and if Diana's watching, she'll attest to this, there's been times where people want to buy a machine, and we're a Janome dealer, and I'll push them away from us because it might not be the right fit.
You're right time. Yeah, absolutely.
If they want a certain machine, and I know a certain machine doesn't do certain things, or another brand does it better, I'm going to say, hey,
as much as we want the sale,
it's not about the sale.
You want to keep I don't know, that rapport, that truthfulness, how about that honesty that comes with it. As much as you want that sale, look, this may not be the one for you. Well, I've seen you do that.
Yeah, and you almost have to do that. And if you have to push a sale away at certain times, rest assured, pushing you, if that's the right thing to do. I'm not saying push it away to push it away, but if pushing a person away from a sale from one of your products is the right thing to do, and you do it, rest assured that's going to bring you 3 to 4 more sales down the road.
Absolutely. They're going to say, well, that's an honest individual. That's who I want to do business with later. That's who I always want to
trust you.
Absolutely.
I can trust you. All right, how about Brian? Let's bring on our special guest. Today we have with us Seth Hackler. Welcome to the program, Seth.
Welcome, Seth. How are you, buddy?
What's up, guys? I am doing fantastic.
We really appreciate you taking your time to join us on Talking Martelli today, and We're going to deep dive on you.
Yeah. And I don't know if you heard me, Seth, before we brought you on, I told everybody that I did not, and you can verify and vouch this, I did not give you any of the questions because I wanted them coming straight from the heart. But I know Brian and I both have some questions, and hopefully we get to all the questions that inquiring minds want to know.
That's right.
Now, we have several people monitoring on Facebook and several people monitoring on YouTube. So if you're out there and you're watching today and we ask a question and you either want to elaborate on that, please write it in the comment section below and we'll get to you. Or if you have a question that you want to maybe ask Seth and we have not asked it yet, we'll try to moderate that the best that we possibly can.
And Jimmy will be looking too. If you know Jimmy is
He's on Johnny on the spot.
Moderator. He's Jimmy on the spot.
Yeah, Jimmy on the spot instead of Johnny on the spot. All right, Brian, you want to go first in asking Seth a question? I know I have several, but I'll let you go first.
Yeah. Okay. So Seth, talk to me. Okay. So your group, Quilting on a Budget, by the way, is Seth's group. I want to know kind of the origin of it. What was your thought process? How did it get started? Let's start with just a basic question on. Once your group gets started, what was the steps for you to even take that, and why would you go into that?
Hold on, Seth. I'm so sorry for interrupting Brian. But before we do that, because there's a lot of people on Seth's group here, but there's a lot of people that don't know Seth on here. So before we do that, I probably should have started. Seth, before we answer that question, which is a great question, by the way, can you tell us who Seth is?
Yes.
And how did you even get started in quilting before we get to that one?
Okay, so I am currently a 40-year-old I would say former truck driver. I haven't driven for a year now. Drove semis as a profession for the last 18 years. And then about 5.5 years ago, Mom passed away. I always remember there being a sewing machine, a serger, piles of cut fabric laying around. So Mom was always a quilter growing up. And when she passed away, I was left with 5 bags of scrubs because for her profession, she was a nurse for the last 24 years. So I knew I didn't want to get rid of those. I wanted to preserve them for my daughters somehow. And I just decided, hey, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to turn this into a quilt somehow. So that's how we got started.
So you wanted to make a quilt to preserve the legacy of your grandmother or mother?
Is it mom?
My mother.
Mother,
Yep.
Okay. Man, I guess that makes perfect sense. All right, go ahead, Brian, with your question.
Keep up the, we hear that all the time.
All the time.
So the leftover that you got, what she left behind, let's say it that way, right?
Yeah.
So what she left behind, you said, I'm going to make something out of it. Now, what did you end up making? Did you, how large, how small, large, or multiple?
I ended up, of course, doing everything the hard way because I didn't understand the easy ways of doing it, but I settled on a disappearing 9 patch. And the first quilt I ever made was a disappearing 9 patch, and it was a queen size.
You just dive right in, don't you?
That's a tough gig to start off with, first quilt.
Dove right in, and I cut a ton of squares and, sewed 9 patches and cut them that way. And of course, down the road now I know that was the hard way to go about it. But so yeah, that's how this all got started. And then once I got into realizing wow, quilting is really therapeutic, and I kind of enjoy doing it because it's almost like it's another form of construction. It's math, it's assembling things, it's geometry. To me, it's almost like woodworking or carpentry. You're just making pieces and you're assembling them. So that's, in my brain, I'm really mechanical, and that's kind of how I interpreted quilting. But I realized it was expensive. And so kind of selfishly, I started my first group, Quilting on a Budget, to basically try to learn from other quilters, how are you guys doing XYZ, and doing it as economically as possible. So that's kind of where it all started. I started because of Mom making that first quilt, and then I realized, wow, I really enjoy doing this. And then I started as a way for me to save money, and then I quickly learned, if quilting can help me through what I'm going through, maybe it can help others. So I started the second group, which is now the iteration that we're on now, focusing more on making content and doing tutorials and trying to teach new quilters.
Which is
we need more people like you out there, man. That's a bucket full of humility right there, to be able to take your time and not be so selfish with everything you learn, but basically to hand that knowledge out, because a lot of people don't want to take that time to do that. They just want to make quilts. So that was really nice of you doing that. I do want to touch on something though. You mentioned you wanted to preserve a legacy of your mom. I had one of my customers called me up and we got into small chat somehow, and she's like, I'm just not sure. My daughter and my granddaughter, they don't want to take quilting on. I have all these quilts, and basically the same thing. I want to preserve my legacy. I said, well, talking about giving it away to Goodwill, I said, absolutely. I said, man, if you're going to give that away, let me have those quilts and let me tell the story behind it.
Right. Let me keep
your legacy alive.
Alive. Yes.
Yep. It's just like
if you don't, it kind of dies where it goes, and no one knows the story behind it. Everything has a story behind it, which is so cool. What's Seth's story about his mom right there? There's no way I would have guessed it. That's why.
No, it's just like, I have a really good friend, Mike. If you're watching, I hope you don't mind me saying this, but a friend that I've developed through the storefront named Mike Cutler, great guy. He actually got me some golf passes, and we were on the golf course a couple weeks ago, and the day after I got home, he said, I just want to let you know his mom passed away, and I had developed a very close relationship with her here, and I got to thinking about it and talking about it, with my wife, and I'm like, you know what? The next fabric sale, which would be I think at that time, the second Tuesday of every May, we need to do and everybody called her Nanny or Nana, I can't remember right now off the top of my head, but I said, we're going to have a Nana fabric Facebook Live fabric sale the second Tuesday of every single May.
That's right.
And that was one way to carry on her legacy, and that's the thing about quilting. That is such a good way, to keep somebody's memory alive in their honor, just by doing little things like that, or even handing their quilts down and telling the story
that
behind
memory
it.
behind it, that memory quilt, that for me, my quilt of all my number 7s that I played baseball in, like that'll always be with me forever, and then I'll pass it on to my kids, and they can have it, and they can share the story. But that's something that it means so much. You look at it, and you get emotional.
Yeah. And that's why I never understood when I first got in this business, and I would go to trade shows, and I'm like, and you make the blanket like this, and people would get so mad at me. It's not a blanket, it's a quilt.
Yes.
And now I've been in the business for 20-something years, and I understand why it's way more. And I catch myself doing it now. Someone says, oh, it's a blanket. I'm like, no, it's not a blanket, it's a quilt. And I find myself,
guilty. You learn that to eat real quick.
Yeah, and I found, we didn't know when we first started, but as we grew in this industry and we understand what quilting's all about and what it's really for, about what Seth had talked about earlier, it's about love, it's about caring, it's about sharing, and it's about also bringing that passion on and moving it down from generation to generation, which that's why, Seth, I think when you started this group and you called it Quilting on a Budget, I don't know if you did that intentionally, but that was a marketing genius. Because
you may have a love and a passion for it, and Seth, I think, is about to agree with us. You may have a love and a passion for it, but man, it is an expensive business. Yeah. That's for sure. We know exactly how expensive this business is.
And the other thing that Seth talked about, and this is why when we first met with Seth at the very beginning, he's like, Dave, I'm going to shoot you straight. He said, I'm not promoting anything I don't approve of, and I'm certainly not going to tell my people that look up to me and count on me, I'm not going to sell them a bridge in the desert. He said, I'm not doing it. And he didn't say it that exact way, but his implication was, if it doesn't go, I quilt. If it doesn't go with me, don't expect me to push it. So I want you to expound on that a little bit too, Seth, about the products that you bring on and how honest you are with people that you deal with about products and what you expect from those products. The floor is yours, sir.
So in the beginning, the one thing that I realized is quilting notions and tools is kind of, to me, equates for us guys like hunting and fishing.
Yes.
And I say that because if anybody that is into the outdoors, hunting or fishing, man, there is 1,001 gadgets and everything's the perfect everything that you absolutely need, right?
100%.
quilting's like that. You have to have this ruler. You have to have these whatever. And so starting out not knowing any better, I kind of started buying different things, and then I would be like, man, this is crap. And after the 5th or 6th whatever, and I finally found one like, wow, this works. When I started this second group, part of me wanting to do tutorials was to be honest and use a product, and if it's junk, tell the people, hey, like, I use this, it's junk. If it works for you, fine, but here's my experience. And I started working with, obviously we've had a pretty long-standing relationship, but I've worked with other companies as well, and I've just been very open and honest with them. Like, if I review your product, I hope you stand behind it, because I'm going to use it and I'm going to give an honest review. And a great example, in the very beginning, I worked with a lady that did wool pressing mats. And her big seller was, you cannot scorch my pressing mat. So I literally, the first thing I did was take it out of the pack, turn my iron on the cotton, and set it down on her pressing mat, and just sat there.
How did it work out?
How'd that work?
No scorch.
Wow.
Okay.
Impressive.
And that's kind of what I do. Like, I don't want, because somebody's going to give me a product, to, like you said, just pass that product off simply because I got it. And to me, my name and integrity is more valuable than whatever product somebody can hand me to be a promoter of. Because that's what I'm trying to promote, is honesty, and you get what you get with me. I'm not any different. That's why when I do my tutorials and I do my lives, if I mess up, I leave that in there. There's been plenty of projects. A Dresden plate comes to mind. A Lone Star quilt comes to mind. I mean, there's been plenty of projects where they just don't work out, but I leave that in there, because when starting out, you watch all these tutorials and everything's edited and everything is just the easiest thing in the world. Anybody should be able to do this. It's so easy. But then the person at home is making the mistakes, and then they think, well, God, I suck. I can't do this. No one else is making a mistake doing this. How come I am? So when I do my tutorials and stuff like that, I leave everything in there. I want to be transparent. That way people know if I say I like something, or I've used something, or try it this way, or whatever comes out of my mouth, I don't sugarcoat things. Sometimes that's good or bad. But with me, you get what you get. I mean, there's no, I don't know.
Regardless of, and I like that, because regardless of relationship.
Well, I got something I'm going to add to that. So I know, Seth, if I was in your shoes and I had 60,000 people watching me, I know because of my platform, I would have people coming to me left and right. Hey, use this. Hey, use this. And I know it would be very tempting to get all this free stuff if all you have to do is say good things about a certain product.
Right.
But for you to be able to stand up being in a position of authority in a platform of 60,000 plus people, and just be straight up honest, I mean, you can get anything you want in the world. And that might deter some people from going to you, but I'll tell you who it won't deter. It won't deter those 60,000 people that look at you as, what does Seth think? What does Seth think? Because even the small Facebook Lives that I see you do, I see the respect and admiration that this group has for you, and that can't possibly be easy. And I know that you've probably had to turn people down once they sent you something and say, you know what, this is not something that I think that I want to push to my group. So that must be tough to do, knowing that it might stop you from getting other free things. But it just shows you where your heart and your passion is, and that's not with the product, it's with the people first, and the products come secondarily, which is huge, because you don't find that in this industry.
Yeah, and a good example of that, and I'm not going to say any names, but we had a embroidery company, and the other admin of the group, Gene, he's very big in embroidery. So I had an embroidery company come to us and say, hey, we do digital designs and blah, blah, blah. Go to our website, pick out absolutely anything you want to do, and try it out. So we gave him a shot. The original one wasn't bad. And then we kind of struck a deal with him. Why doesn't Gene do kind of like an embroidery block of the month? Well, before going public and making it like an announcement in the group and stuff like that, Gene picked out a couple embroidery things, and he was trying them and talking back and forth. He's like, man, this design jumps everywhere. There's a bunch of unnecessary thread cuts, and we even tried talking with the company. Gene, of course, explained it to him because he knows more about the embroidery than I do. And he was explaining to him, look, like, I digitize designs. I have all the software to do that. And you guys need to go back and redo this. And rather than be willing to go back and relook at their work, they were basically telling Gene, like, well, you must not know what you're doing.
Yeah, because it costs them money.
And it can't possibly be our fault. So at that point, it was like, we can't push this. And I can appreciate that they gave us complete free range of their entire catalog, totally free. They were going to give the group discounts and so on. But if it's not something I'm going to use, and definitely Gene, who definitely knows what he's doing when it comes to embroidery and can make he produces some absolutely beautiful embroidery projects. And if that guy can't figure out your embroidery pattern or design, or he can't make his machines make it work, then definitely no one else will.
Right.
So that was one we had to step away from for sure.
And that's a hard one to step away from after all the
the free offers.
That's a hard. But at the same time, your truthfulness, resonates after that.
And just for the record, for anybody watching, I know Gene's probably watching this. If you are, Gene, hey. And Gene is one that introduced Seth and I probably about 2.5 years ago, and I didn't think much of it at the very beginning, which is a funny story in of itself. I'm not going to go into detail, but we live in Gene's backyard. I didn't know he was from Milton, Florida, so he came in one day, we got to talk, and he goes, and I had no idea you guys were here.
Pace, Florida.
Yeah. So, yeah, but he is a great guy, and he's a treasure trove of information and knowledge when it comes to embroidery and even quilting. He gave me a few other great ideas that we're in the process of working on, which would be a 4-inch strip ruler that does a multitude of things that we had a small conversation on. But yeah, Gene is the one.
That's why he and I make such a great team, because he is he's extremely technical. He knows. He's just an encyclopedia of quilting.
Yeah, he is.
You can ask him anything about a machine, and we're kind of like two different ends. So I like to think that between he and I, we kind of cover a majority of the quilting, because I always like to say what I lack in knowledge, I make up for with enthusiasm. And with him, he is a wealth of knowledge, but he would rather be kind of the back end guy. And instead of him, like I did a live and I discussed the difference in threads and needles and what goes with what and why you would use whatever. Well, that made me look like I knew what I was doing. But really what happened was the night prior and 2 nights prior, Gene and I were having conversations, and it was like, okay, so how come you would use, or, stuff like that. So I get the knowledge from him, and I'm able to convey it. I don't know. I'm just naturally, I could talk to a rock for an hour about sand, and
I think
love the analogy.
Or naturally able to do that, but he's a wealth of knowledge, and he is more of a technical quilter. He'll pick apart everything he does, and he does absolutely beautiful. He tends to do like 2-color quilts. Whereas I'm more of a country, scrappy. I just quilt for quilting. He quilts to challenge himself.
Well, I can relate not to that, I'll tell you that.
So Nancy Wilson just said, did not know about quilting on a budget, so I just joined it. Thank you, Dave and Brian, for sharing this info.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I'm glad you did, Miss Nancy, because I tell you this, Seth, and I know Rob's behind the scenes, which is Gene, and they're so loving and just They care. They truly care, and I think that's one of the reasons why it's very seldom where I get like really excited about a certain person or a certain group. I love everybody. Don't get me wrong, but just what they're all about over there. I've kind of modeled what I'm doing with the Martelli Quilters Group after what they're doing. The customer comes first, and if that means sending somebody away because it's not the right fit, and I'm selling my own product, I've done it, and I will continue to do that. I'm going to point the customer that's in the right direction. And with you, what the thing about you, you and Gene, it's not even so much you're pushing your product. It's totally different with you guys because you're getting offered free products to say A, B, C, or D. And to be able to tell those people, because those people, like I said, they know you have a platform of 60,000 people. Mm-hmm. They know that you are a super big influencer. They know if they can get you to say A, B, C, or D about this certain product, that's going to create revenue for them, right? So for you to be able to, and Gene to be able to say, hey, listen, just like you did with me, Seth, the very first thing out of your mouth is like, I hope honesty, and in so many words, I hope honesty is okay with you, Dave, because that's what you're going to get, like it or not, and that's one of the things that I really appreciated from Jump Street.
And the thing is when I deal with a company, I don't necessarily want to only deal with a company where it's like money above everything. And so like the first time I dealt with a batting supplier, we'll just leave it at that. I went and I kind of checked into them, what is their company about? Where do they source their stuff? How, it's more than just, okay, they're going to give me free stuff, because I feel like I want to attach my name to like-minded people. And so when you and I were in the first stages of meeting and stuff like that, I really paid attention to what it is you guys were doing. And, your family is a very big faith-based family. And, maybe not everybody that buys your products is super Christian. But what I like is that you guys are who you are. Your faith is part of who you guys are, so you're not afraid to make that part of the business. Everybody that I've talked to since partnering with you and using your stuff, the number one thing is like if somebody says, oh, my spring in my cutter broke or my whatever happened to whatever, the first thing somebody normally chimes in is get a hold of Dave, or call the shop. They'll take care of it right away.
100%.
Yes.
So,
100%.
We're big on customer service, I can tell you that. Real big on customer service.
And fortunately, the products that you guys make, there's really not a whole lot of customer service in that aspect that I've ever seen. The biggest thing with me, of course, the group being Quilting on a Budget, we have, a lot of frugal quilters. And what I started encountering in the beginning is trying to teach people that cheap up front isn't always better than, cheap long term.
The long run.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I used to use another brand of cutter for a good example. And I thought it was just normal that you replaced your blade like 2 times every 3 months. I just thought that was a rotary cutter. And after using your guys' rotary cutters, I've got a little bit of crafting ADHD, so I've done quilting, I've done leather work, I'm doing vinyl work and print work and stuff like that now. And I've used the same rotary cutter for cutting out leather patterns and then immediately go back to cutting quilts, immediately use it to do vinyl and stuff like that. And I still have a pack of unopened blades because I just haven't needed to replace it yet. And I'm cutting all kinds of material.
That all reverts back to the mechanical aspect of how the tool was made. So you are right, Seth. Until we came along, the industry standard was, hey, change your blade every few projects or every few months because it needs to be changed. But with the new mechanical design and the way the pressure is being applied to the blade doesn't get damaged. And what people don't know with that particular rotary cutter is the blades never, even the ones you throw away in the old traditional cutters, the blades never go dull. They get damaged and they don't have a chance to go dull because the blade has already been damaged and it causes it to skip. So it will cut in some areas, it will skip in others. That doesn't mean the blade is dull. That means the blade has been destroyed by improper use. So, and that's one of the things that's one of the whole reasons why we created a rotary cutter in the first place, so that the stress of the blade will not cause damage to the blade, giving you longevity of the blade by the way the blade is being used inside the cutter, which I know is a mouthful.
Genius design.
It's a genius design. That's a short way of putting it.
I know probably, I would go out on a limb and say I've probably been the hardest on my rotary cutter than probably anybody would be. And maybe this is a little selfish of me, because I know I can call Dave and say, hey man, I need another pack of blades, or, whatever. But I've cut 6-ounce bison hide with this.
Wow.
I've cut multiple layers of batting at one time.
Yep.
I've cut a completely quilted quilt folded over in two. So you got 4 layers of fabric, 2 layers of batting. I've cut straight through that. And I mean, this, the blades don't die, and all your products are like that. And I like the cutter. In the group, I try to introduce people to the cutter first, because it's kind of like, it explains the philosophy, basically. Yeah, your stuff's a little more expensive up front, but it's the last time you're going to have to buy that thing, whatever that thing is.
Yes.
Very well put.
And the easiest way to explain it is like, hey, go try out their rotary cutter. Because the same mentality and the same philosophy that's in this rotary cutter is throughout their whole line of products.
Across the board.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Yeah, that's a great observation, man. So I'm gonna, if you don't mind, Seth, I'm gonna go off the little beaten path here just for a second, because I want to ask you something. This is something that interests me. I've had several conversations with you throughout the last few years, and just got to know you on a personal level. And you have a lot of creativity in that brain of yours, more so than quilting. And I know that you and I have talked before about you wanting, to be on the marketing aspect of things, just because you enjoy marketing, which is my passion also. And you had mentioned to me,
Bob's back.
Yeah, you had mentioned to me that you helped other people in one, and I thought it was a really interesting story. So I thought maybe you could just share it, of how there's somebody close to you that is selling shrimp, and how you help them sell shrimp. I just thought it was a cool story.
Yeah, I've got to hear this. I heard about it, but he said wait till you explain. Explain that to me, Seth.
Yeah, okay, so I live just east of Indianapolis. Okay, so I'm staring at horses right now, facing south. East of me is an alfalfa field. West of me is either beans or corn this year. I don't know. You rotate every year. So we're definitely not anywhere where you would expect, like, fresh grown shrimp. So I don't remember how I come across these guys, but I come across them. I went out to their operation, and my technical, like, I got to know how it works side kicked in. And the guy's name's Glenn. Super, super nice guy. He was a scientist somehow, lost his job. And being older, he knew that it would be hard for him to get back into the job market. So him and his wife started pitching ideas like, let's have our own business. Well, one of them wanted to do a pizzeria, the other one didn't. One wanted to do a bar, the other one didn't. And somehow they landed on growing shrimp in the middle of Indiana. So I seen their operation. It totally fascinated me. I ended up buying a couple pounds of shrimp from them. And I mean, getting the stuff from the store all this time was like fine. I eat it now and I'm like, oh God, that's trash. Like, why have I been eating this?
Yeah.
So I got to looking at their social and stuff, and I'm like, man, people in this area need to know what you're doing. This is so cool. And so I started just working kind of very informally. I gave them the idea, hey, why don't you have people hashtag your name, have them share pictures of what they've cooked with your shrimp, do like a recipe of the week. just different stuff like that to try to get them to think.
Get their name out. Yeah.
Yeah, because they're 6 miles south of town, so they're kind of out in the country, and they're not somewhere where you're going to drive past and see a big shrimp barn.
Right.
And then I brought up the fact, get on there and do videos, show people, because they're going to think the same thing I am. How in the heck are you raising shrimp? What am I really getting? So I'm like, hey, go in there, have the wife ask the husband a question, tell him to keep it short. He's explaining it to a 5-year-old because he knows everything, down to the nth reason. I'm like, just keep it short. You're talking to a 5-year-old. What are we doing in this pool? How long do they stay? Blah, blah, blah. And every Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, pick a time, do a live. And then the issue that they thought was going to be detrimental to them was, well, we don't have shrimp consistently available because, they gotta grow when they're ready.
Makes sense.
To me, I don't look at that as a problem, okay? Because to me, now you're a limited supply, which makes you get in on the ground floor. I'm limited, so I'm in demand. This makes you a, kind of like a secret club or whatever. You got to get in when you can get in because these are gone. And so I told him, your limited availability isn't an issue. It's actually a good thing because it's not, people are going to know, I need to get in as soon as I can. I need to let you know when this next batch is ready, I want X, Y, Z. And now what I'm trying to work with him on is going to some of these farmers markets. And he said, well, I can't really do that because I don't want to bring 10 pounds of shrimp to the farmers market. And if I don't sell, then I've got a bunch of dead, he calls them fish. I got a bunch of dead fish. And I said, no, you're thinking of it the wrong way. So you bring a couple pounds and you're cooking your shrimp and you're handing out a shrimp on a toothpick now.
That's brilliant, Seth.
Yeah.
That is brilliant.
And then now you say, hey, you sign up here. And if you order today on Sunday, then you pick a time Wednesday and A will deliver, or he needs to get out and beat feet around town and say, hey, you got a great parking lot. Is there any way I can come here with my cooler and my truck and my sign Tuesday for my customers to know that, on Tuesday from 5 to 8:30 in the evening, they can come pick up their order of shrimp that they ordered Sunday?
Absolute brilliance. And I tell you what, there's a
guy that does it on the
there's
near me that does that, and I go by every time it's available. I get it. It's always gone when I get there.
That's what I was going to tell you. There's a food company truck that drives around once a week to our facility and say, hey, do you want to order anything? So I guess what you're saying is be proactive instead of reactive. That's the creativity gene that I love about how you are and how you think, which brings me to my next point. But before we do, we have a few questions, Seth. Kathy Dyer, are you still with us? She wants to know, Seth, what are your future plans? Which by the way, Kathy Dyer, I'm gonna mention the first part of this before Seth takes it over. But before I do that, I want to read the questions. She says, what is your future plans for our Facebook group? Quilting on a Budget is my favorite group on Facebook. Wow, so I want to add to this, where I'm going to be talking to Seth about part of the future plans of this group, and we're going to talk about it live. So you're not going to want to miss that. But before we do that, Seth, that's the first question I want you to respond to, if you don't mind. Kathy Dyer, what are your future plans for the Facebook group? And she's letting you know that it's her favorite group on Facebook.
Nice.
Okay, so first off, I have to send some love to Kathy Dyer. This lady has been amazing since day one of my group.
We love people like you on our group, Kathy.
Part of my group, I have done a bunch of charity things where I've tried to get people to send me quilt blocks and we'll make tops, and then we'll find somebody that wants to do the quilting and we're going to give them to a certain charity, or we're going to do block exchanges. It doesn't matter. The last big project I did, a buddy of mine, I came home from work. His dog was out on the porch. It's like 4:30 in the morning, front door wide open, totally not like him. The wife says, hey, I haven't been able to get a hold of, his name's Dave too, haven't been able to get a hold of Dave all evening. we need to go check, but I'm kind of afraid to go over there. So I go over there, ended up having to call 911. He was found out he was diabetic by going into diabetic coma.
Yeah.
And I mean, just the ER doctor basically was like, call his family. I don't even know how he's still breathing. So fast forward, a couple weeks, and he's now in the hospital, and he's physically improving, but mentally, it's just he's beat down. So I got on my group and I said, hey, explain the situation. I said, is there any way I can get my members to send a heart block with patriotic colors, because he's a Air Force vet, and I want to call this project Hugs for Dave. And of course there was other people that definitely got involved, but I got to shout Kathy Dyer out. Not 3-4 days later, we only live a couple hours apart. 3 or 4 days later, she had put together 12 of the most beautiful heart blocks in different red, white, and blues. And I mean, every time I've asked for anything that would involve people's time or people's resources or their ability to use their craft to help, just any project that I'm trying to help, Kathy has been like spot on. I mean, no questions asked. How many do you need? Where do you want me to send them? And I mean, she has been like that since day one. She's just, I mean.
Yeah, Kathy, my hats go off to you. That's incredible. We have a bunch of Kathy Dyers on our group too. We're such a close-knit group. And Kathy, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, you don't know how much, like for you, for what you do for Quilting on a Budget, you don't know how much we appreciate personality types like yourself to be part of our special own group that we have. In other words, like in our group, we have a bunch of people like you, but they mean the world to us on that group because they put up. I can remember when the I don't want to use the word and get bombed, but when the flu came out here, let's call it the flu. When the flu came out, how many masks that we sent out? Man, we had an army of people together in 3 days, and we were making masks for. Man, I was donating fabric as much fabric as I could. I was donating blades, fabric. I was even donating time. But it was people like you.
You sent me a ton of masks to do for that nonprofit that I was a co-creator of.
Yeah, that's when we first started getting close about that time, Seth. It was a little bit before that. But when I saw your heart and what you were trying to do for people, I'm like, yeah, this guy's special. That was one of the main. That's when I first started figuring out that I wanted to work with you. I'm like, I want to work with this guy. He gets it. It's more than about making money. It's more than about making a name. Yeah, it's showing that you really care about people, and it's not just that one charity that you did. It's just in your general day-to-day life, watching you on your Facebook Lives on your group, watching the things you say, watching how you handle people, watching how you say certain things about certain products, not beating people. Like today, you said, I'm not mentioning any names. Well, the easy thing to do is just go in there and bash someone, but that's beneath you, and I love that about you.
We don't do that here either, which I love. And you can tell that immediately about Seth, how his reputation precedes him.
I've always lived by that saying, you don't make yourself taller by making other people smaller.
Correct. Absolutely.
Well, there's no reason to, and there's no need to.
Instead of saying company A is junk,
right?
Just say, hey, I've used A and B, and I really prefer B.
Yeah, absolutely.
Focus on shining a light on B without beating up the first one, because there's no need. If you explain the company that you like well enough, then you don't need to worry about the other one.
No, it's like a bully in a courtyard, beating people up, and making fun of them. They do that because, they feel like by doing that, it makes themselves look better. In reality,
and if I'm going to buy something and I hear that person that I kind of like the product that they're showing me, but they want to bash everybody,
I'm gone.
I'm not even there for that other product. I'm there for your product. But if you start bashing someone else to sell your product, I'm gone.
Yeah, I won't even entertain that. And that's something that with my sales reps here at Martelli from day one, I said we are not going to mention other names. That's not acceptable. That's not who we are, and that's not what we're about. Because even if somebody does have a bad product and they try to sell it, I know we've had a product that wasn't stellar when it first came out, but we wouldn't know to make the changes if we weren't told, So my whole point behind that is you never have to bash someone to build yourself.
That's
you
right.
just don't have to.
Well, that's like when I first got going, I used a cotton thread, we'll call it a cotton thread, for years and years and years, because that's what Mom bought, and I think it's because it was affordable, and so I didn't know any better. I used that cotton thread, and that was great, and I started working with another lady who is all about this polyester thread, and I started using it, and I'm like, oh my God, my machine is way cleaner. The colors are way more vibrant. I just liked it overall. But at the same time, I need to let people know, hey, I prefer this now. I didn't know any better, but now that I know, my quilting's evolved. It's kind of like any craft. As your craft grows, your toolbox gets better and more quality. But you got to be able to promote what you like now without bashing the people that are still on the level that you yourself once were. Like, if that's what you're using, that's great. But just so you know, there's another step above where you're at now, and when you're ready to take it, take it.
Right. Change is inevitable. Change is going to happen. And you just made a change. That's what it was. It's not bashing anything. You just made a quality change, and that was all it was. I like it.
So Seth, I have a question for you, brother, and I've never put you on the spot, and I don't think I've ever even asked you this on a personal level. But out of all the Martelli products that you currently use, which product do you like the best, and why?
Man, I know this is going to sound totally cliche, but I don't think that I can pick.
I'm going to put one thing.
One. So I'll do it like this. I think the most used is probably the cutter, because I use it for everything. Most quilters will freak out if you cut paper with their scissors or whatever. Your rotary cutters, I will literally, if my daughter's doing a craft for school, we trim paper with it. If I'm doing leather, I trim leather with it. If I'm doing quilting, I'm trimming my fabric with it. So the most widely used, I would have to say, are the cutters. Yeah. The next thing is your mat. Now, the reason why I say that is because for somebody that is what I call a kitchen table quilter, which is what I was for a long time until my wife finally said, get your stuff and do something with it. I like how versatile your mat is. I like that you have the bright side and the dark side. It's very calming on the eyes for somebody that's going to be cutting all day long, which when I got an order for 7 memory quilts, your cutter saved my wrists, and the mats saved my eyes from having to stare at them all day and find the lines that I needed. Now, the other thing, and I'm not telling anybody to iron on their mat. I'm just saying I have taken fabric, and to be safe, I put like 2-3 layers of fabric on top of the mat, and I've pressed on top of your mat. You can't do that with any other mat that I am personally aware of. Now, what makes that great is because I don't need another pressing mat on my table. I can just simply put my little, protective fabric down, make sure you don't touch the bare mat with the hot iron. But it's a space saver.
Yeah.
And the other nice thing is I've had this like slightly warped from where maybe I leaned it up against the wall or something, and it kind of got like that floppy bend to it. You just lay it out flat and it kind of relaxes over time. Like some of the other mats, they don't do that. And then on the higher budget end, so you sent me this chair. Man, I cannot rave enough about this chair. So the chair, by the way, hasn't even made it into my quilting studio because I use it at home so much. I'm sitting at the dining room table cutting vegetables. When I'm being lazy, I'm sitting at the kitchen sink doing dishes when I don't feel like standing. My kids are constantly pushing it around the living room to my wife's dismay because move this stupid chair out of the way, but when I see my 5-year-old on her belly and she's spinning circles in it and pushing it, let me tell you, I'm running that thing through its paces. And with me, I am not a small guy. If you can see the picture, they keep flashing up. I got a lot of face. Well, I got biscuits and gravy or beans and cornbread.
You and me both, brother. You and me both.
But that chair, it holds up, man. I think I've had it, 3 months now? And I literally can say that my butt has touched that thing every day for the last 3 months for one reason or the other. And getting back to the memory quilts, I had an order for 7 memory quilts. I brought them to the house, and I had to sit and bind. It was like a last-minute oh crap thing. I had to bind 7 memory quilts in one evening. I sat in that chair, and this is no fluff. I sat in that chair at 2:30 p.m., and of course I got up to use the bathroom, drink breaks, whatever. But by like 3:30 in the morning, I was finally done. And my hips didn't hurt, my back didn't hurt, my butt wasn't sore. Of course, my knees from being bent, they were still sore. But the other stuff, like this office chair that I'm sitting in now, I might as well be sitting on a plank of wood.
Yeah.
And then going even higher in budget, this workstation. So this goes back to me not promoting something I haven't used. And I felt this was kind of one of the hard things where I had to stick to my guns, because you called me one day and you said, hey, what if we do a promotion in your group and we talk about these tables? And I said, man, I love the idea. I know you remember this phone call.
Yeah, I
do. I've loved everything you've sent me so far, but
I didn't use it.
I'm very firm. I will not push anything that I personally have not used.
Yep. You were very clear about that.
But okay, well, and I thought we were going to leave it at that. And then you said, hey, what if I just send you one? And I said, well, who am I to disagree? And let me tell you, this thing, you wouldn't think having an adjustable table would really make that much of a difference. But oh my gosh, I can stand at it, I can sit at it, I can use my sewing machine at it and lower it down, I can use my laptop and do an interview like I'm doing now and raise it up to where I can lean forward on it and it's comfortable. And getting into what I'm getting into now with my vinyl and stuff like that, the fact that it has a recessed cutting surface on it,
huge.
So it's pulling the vinyl across, or fabric, as most people will use. The fabric doesn't get caught on the edge. The vinyl that I'm using doesn't get caught on the edge. And the one you sent me, I forgot the exact dimensions. We're looking at maybe 24, so I want to say 28 by something here.
55. 28 by 55.
Advantage model.
Okay. This thing is sturdy enough that I powered the legs up, and of course we probably don't recommend doing this, but I did it. I powered the legs up, and my neighbor stood on this thing to change the light in my studio because we came in one day and the ceiling fan was literally dangling by 3 wires.
How many times have we heard that?
I've heard that one many times,
I'm like,
Seth.
okay, well, he can't stand on a little rickety stool. So I said, hey, come over here and just sit on this for a second. And he kind of sits on the table and squishes his butt around. And I said, you know what? This will work. We jack it up. He's able to do what he's able to do and change the light. But what I like about it, too, is if you're basting your quilt and you're using a spray base, which is what I typically do, I love that this size here has 2 handles. If I'm sitting on the right side of the table, I'm actually sitting on the wrong side of the table. I'm sitting on the front. But if you're sitting on the right side of the table, you have 2 cutout handles on the right-hand side, and you can wheel this perfectly through a standard doorway.
Yes.
I love that because I can flop my quilt over. I can take it out of my studio where I don't want all the overspray. I can spray baste everything. It's got the nice rounded edges that doesn't grab the fabric like I've got a piece of melamine, which is the wood that has like the laminate layer over it, like you would get from
I know what you're talking about. Yep.
But they have such abrupt edges on them that you can't push and pull fabric because they get
Snag
they get caught on that edge. Well, this table has like just the nice little kind of chamfer all the way around. And yeah, I mean, I've used this thing as a rolling cart. I've used it as a scaffolding. I've used it as, you know, my vinyl design center. I've got it set as an L shape right now
because it as a workstation.
Yeah, he almost looks like a workstation.
I wonder what it's called.
To the bite of me, and in my studio, having this thing be on wheels and it rolls, and I've even got carpet in my studio. And this thing rolls so nicely. I can pull it where I need it, and then I can stack a bunch of crap on it. And if I need it out of my way, I mean, you just simply push it out of the way. And I think for most people, I know I'm a big guy and I could probably move just about anything in my way. But even my wife is maybe $140, maybe. She moves this thing around no problem.
Yeah.
So
I want to add something, Seth, really quickly, if you don't mind. So I know you're going to post this on your group later, so I want to mention just a few things. If you're new to Martelli and you're hearing this and you're in Quilting on a Budget right now, there's a video I always like to refer people to on YouTube. If you go to YouTube and you type in the Big 3 Cutting System, it explains the mat, the cutter, and the ruler and how they work together as one unit to make the easiest cutting system on the planet. So again, on YouTube, the Big 3 Cutting System. If you watch that, that is a great and fantastic introduction to what essentially we all use to start off with quilting, and that's a ruler, a cutting mat, and a rotary cutter.
Yes.
So that's a really good way to get an introduction to Martelli Enterprises.
Changes the way it introduces you to something spectacular.
Yep.
You'll see what we're talking about. That Big 3 Cutting System video is a perfect gateway.
It's a gateway, that's what we call it. And I also think, I think, Brian, you correct me if I'm wrong, but on our website, which is www.martellinotions.com, I can't remember if we have little demonstration videos on all of our products, but as you can see with Seth, you know, he started with one product and then went to another one, then went to another one. But I want to touch on just one of those products really quickly. I had no idea, Seth. You know, we like to make everything that we can. And what I mean by that is we have a manufacturing facility a couple miles from us. And we try to make every single product we have. Well, we're growing so quickly and we're running out of space, we can't make all of our own products. So one of the products, and I'll try to show that before this is over, is that chair that Seth was talking about. We knew we knew the major problems that all quilters had with their back. We knew the problems they had with their neck, their back, and their shoulders. So we tried to get a table in that solved a lot of taking the stress off the neck, back, and shoulders issues in. And so when we got this product in, Seth, I knew it was going to be good, but I'm going to say this. I'm going to go out there on a limb and say this. It's probably one of the top 5 products that Martelli has ever brought to the market. And I'm just throwing that, and the reason why I'm saying that is because all of the reviews that we have gotten, like if you go to the Martelli Quilters group, and just say you, by the way, I'm sure Seth doesn't if I say this, but if you want to join, well, let me say 2 things. If you're watching and you're a Martelli person right now, I want you to join Seth's group, Quilting on a Budget.
Absolutely.
And I don't know if Seth minds saying this, but if you were to go to the Martelli Quilters group and you were to become a member there, and you go put, I want to know about the Martelli ergonomic chair, and you ask questions, you will get a page and page and page of comments of people absolutely loving this chair. I had no idea.
Sit down,
This
because you're going to
chair,
have a lot of comments to read.
I had no idea this chair was going to be as big as it was. So, Seth, I want to thank you for that, for your comment on that chair. But if you're interested, it's more than Seth that's talking about this so highly. So I just wanted to add that.
I have never heard anybody get this chair and then regret it.
Not one.
And I can say, I can throw out maybe a little easier than probably what you feel comfortable doing, but I'm a big guy. I've been truck driving for 18 years. I'm built like I've been truck driving for 18 years. Any of you women that are listening that got a little bit more in the rear and you can't find something comfortable to put all that on for a long period of time, I was in your same position, okay? David sent me this chair. I'm a big guy. I'm wider than I am taller. Okay, this chair is super comfortable. Like I said, I've sat on it. My kids have used it as roller coasters. I mean, It has held up. I haven't noticed any cracking in the whatever the material is. It's kind of like a rubberized vinyl.
Yeah.
Yes.
I haven't noticed any squish or deformation of the foam. I mean, it rolls beautifully either on the kitchen floor or in my living room carpet. My kids have made sure it rolls in the living room, especially right when you're watching a movie and like the exciting parts coming up.
Yeah, right in the middle.
There goes one of them.
And perfect view.
But yeah, so when you sent that chair, man, like that's what I said. I can't say enough about it. Wherever you guys found it from, keep them coming. Yeah. And if you're on the fence,
we get it made for us. It's only our chairs. So that's a good thing.
And here's the thing, Seth. I didn't even tell you about this, but we have since developed. Well, no, let me take that back. We didn't develop, but we got wheels that were developed that are universal wheels that fit on anything that has wheels that make the chair even roll around even better now, and it won't collect lint. But I want to save that conversation for when it's just you and I, and I'll send you a set of those, Seth, because they're really, really cool.
Yes.
But we're getting closer to having a little bit of time left, and I wanted to get into this today, especially before we get off. You and I talked about something a long time ago, right? Of how you like to serve the people on your group, and you want to do as much as you can. And you know, I heard you mention a while back that everybody on your group wanted to buy fabric. And this is how unselfish Seth is, okay? Let me tell you how unselfish this guy is.
He's a rock star.
He is a rock star, I will tell you that. So he no problem. And I mean that from that comes straight from my heart. And I'm going to share everybody with the reason why. So everybody wanted Seth to start selling fabric. He found out that it is an expensive endeavor. It is very expensive. So instead of putting a kibosh on this, Seth reached out to me and said, Dave, I want you to help me help my group. So that's one of the top of the conversations that I wanted to have, Seth. So I want you to talk a little bit about it first, and then I wanted to add to it, and Brian can add to it if he wants to as well.
Okay, so as most of or a big portion of my group members will know, I decided instead of just pushing a bunch of products and then when people say, where can you get them from, I have to say, I don't know. I decided I want to open an online quilt store. I want to then sell the products that I'm an affiliate with, which is you and, a bunch of other companies. And the one thing I kept hearing is, do you sell thread? Do you sell fabric? The answer to both of those had to be no, because the biggest barrier to entry in any quilt shop is thread and fabric.
Yeah.
Because it's like saying, I'm going to open up a vegetable stand. Well, you can't just sell broccoli because not everyone likes broccoli. You got to sell everything.
Yes.
Same thing with fabric. But the thing with fabric that people don't understand is, let's say I decide everyone loves Tula Pink, so I'm going to just buy her one new line. Well, that's anywhere from 16 to 18 SKUs for one line of fabric, and a tiny bolt, most people don't realize, is 15 yards. So even at wholesale prices, when you're doing 15 yards times 18, and that's only one collection, man, that adds up. So you started doing these fabric sales. They've really jumped off in your group. I really like the way that you had them set up. So I said, what if we could do something in my group? That way fabric is available. I know the person selling it. I can comfortably send my people to you. I know that you're not selling them, fabric that you bought from wish.com and passing along whatever. I know that you're getting quilt shop quality fabric, name brand designers that people know. And the thing that I like is you guys do bundles, different fabric bundles. You throw in templates from time to time.
Yep.
But you and I talked, and your willingness to say, okay, well, since your group is budget focused, we can cater to that, and we can redo how we're going to sell the fabric, which
100%.
even made me even happier, because that's when I put that post, and you and Brian immediately started looking at it and seeing what it is kind of like to give the people what they want.
Absolutely.
So that to me, is another example of why I've loved the relationship that we've built, because when I call you to say, hey, what can you do? I'm trying to do X, Y, and Z for my group. Is there any way you can do something? You know, you don't say yes right away. You don't say no right away. It's like, hey, let's figure this out. Let's see what we can come up with. And 9 times out of 10, I mean, we've come up with a solution, and it's been great.
Well, see, this is one of the things that I'm going to add. You know, the way that we're doing our fabric sale every single Thursday, and I'm going to invite you, and the reason why I'm going to invite you is because we're doing a sale for you on this group too. But we do a fabric sale every single Thursday from 1 p.m. 7 p.m. Central Standard Time on the Martelli Enterprises main Facebook page. But the reason why I brought that up, well, it's twofold. The way that we do it is great, but what Seth just said a second ago, Dave, you know, all I do is call Dave, and if we don't figure it out right there and then, we'll figure it out. So we know that this group is a little bit bigger than ours. We know it's a little bit more price driven. So we contacted a company. Brian had us reach out to a company called Comment and Sold. So because there's going to be more people, we can do bundles that are less money but move more of them, which will make it affordable for us to do it, make it affordable, also give you a fabric at a lesser of a price but still great quality. But I was like, there's no way if we had like 5,000 people buying, I'm not going to be able to keep up with those orders.
Right.
But Comment Sold can. So the reason why that we reached out to Comment Sold, which is a group on Facebook where you collect money, is because now that is a solution where we'll be able to sell fabric, good quality fabric, at a lesser price, but to more people, which will make it affordable for us to do and be able to attain and achieve the goals that you want to on your group. So it worked out. But we did have to find a solution to it, which we did do, by the way, Seth. I didn't tell you. I wanted to wait.
Let me touch on that for a second.
Okay, go ahead.
Because you being the car salesman, you're always going to say you got the best car for sale.
Yes.
But I've used Comment Sold. They're the other people that I work with, they do live sales and they have Comment Sold. And what's nice about this, for the people that haven't heard about it, so you register with Comment Sold, okay? Prior to doing the show, everything's secure. All your information is secure. I have an account.
Yep.
If I didn't think it was secure, I wouldn't be signed up with it. But the nice thing is what David and them will do is they'll say this is lot 102 and lot 102 is whatever. And then during the show, if you want to buy lot 102, you'll comment in the comment section, sold 102, and then they'll be able to say your name. And because you've already registered, your name, information, all that comes up
automatically.
And at the end of the show, or even the nice thing is if you can't make the show and they got show specials, you can go to their Comment Sold storefront
and still get it.
You can check out later, or depending on how you guys do it. I know the other people that I know, sometimes if I know you're going to be on it at 1 or 2 and I can't make it, I can log on sometimes at noon or 12:30 and everything's already in the storefront.
Yeah,
so I know kind of what's going to be on there.
Yeah, we're working on that too, Seth. You're spot on in saying that, man. Comment Sold. We sat down. We had a meeting with them for about an hour. Some of the features and benefits they had in their program is what we've been missing in ours, and we might even adapt our sale to Comment and Sold. I don't know, but the whole reason why I said that is when you said, "Hey, Dave, I want to do this for my group." We went out there to research it where we could best accommodate your group and make sure that everybody's getting these. Yeah, these people want fabric. I want to get them fabric. If Seth wants to get them thread, I want to be able to get them thread.
That's correct.
And the great thing about Comment Sold is we can do thread, we can do fabric, so we're still taking care of Seth's group. So here's what I was going to say. We have been working with Comment and Sold. The second that we have it down, Seth, if it's okay with you, of course we can talk after the show, obviously, but I want to put the sign-up link on your group, and I want to do it a week or 2 weeks out, which will give plenty of people of time to sign up and get registered before our live event. And the other cool thing is...
Yeah, because with your the way you do your sales, I mean, you gotta get it when you want to get it. And I would hate for somebody, you throw a really good bundle up there and somebody wants it, but they're not signed up. And then maybe it gets sold out or something, because that's the other thing. David told me on a phone call, I'm going to try to make sure that when we do these bundles, that I'm going to have more than just a few.
Yes.
Because nothing's more disappointing than trying to hurry up and jump in line to get what it is
that
you've just seen, and like you only had 5. Why would you only show 5? No, those are gone.
Yep, that's what we're trying to do. Give you more. That's what I was explaining. Give you more.
Here's another cool thing, Seth, that I like about Come It Sold is that say we have 25 bundles and 28 people want it, and say maybe 3 people jump out of it. Those next 3 people that were 26, 27, and 28 are still in line.
They still get it,
and they jump up into that moment. So we always tell people, hey, if you think you want it and maybe you don't get it, there's always an opportunity that you may get it
later on.
Later on, if somebody can't do it or somebody falls through. So,
let me ask you this, and I'm gonna put you on the spot real quick. So our biggest audience is obviously America. Our second biggest audience is Canada and Australia. So I get a lot of Canadians asking, are you guys going to be shipping to Canada? I know probably not international, say wherever, but when you guys get doing this, do you plan on trying to ship to Canada with, of course, the knowledge that shipping across the border is expensive? We don't make money off of shipping. We don't control the prices. Shipping abroad is ridiculous, which is why most of the time when I do things, I don't. But maybe with you guys being
twofold
bigger and whatever, I didn't know. I don't care one way or the other. But that's a question I get a lot, and I would like for people to know.
That's a great question. And I'm going to tell you this. The answer is yes if it's shipping. Yes, I know for a fact we've shipped to Canada before, but it all by case basis. It just depends on what the shipping is. This thing, Seth, you know this. We don't make any money on shipping. We only charge you what our shipping expense is. So if it's affordable to ship to Canada, we absolutely will do.
If they want to take care of the shipping, if they say, look, I get it's going to be expensive. I just want that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but the answer is yes. We have shipped to Canada, but we be on a base. There might be something that we can put in the program that says, hey, if it's this much or more, don't worry about it. We won't sell it, and if it's this much or less, then yes, we will sell it if they pay the shipping.
I wouldn't expect free international shipping to Canada. I'm just saying. If they want the product plus the shipping, because that's what makes it tricky. Most people don't realize, of course, the people that live out of the country do, that when you ship overseas, not only you have to pay for the product, you have to pay for the shipping, but then a lot of the countries you're paying import duties, and they charge you a percentage of not only the value of the product, but also the shipping cost on top of it. So you're being taxed for the cost of shipping as well the product.
Yeah. So, and we don't want to do that. We want to just to incur the expense. A couple things. So Amy Zellers, I want to get to Amy Zellers. She said you can also put a time limit and pay within the 6 hours, which I think is a great feature to have as well. I can't see how that could hurt anything. It only help. But a couple things I want to take away is I do want to get this comment and sold away for everybody to be able to sign up on quilting on a budget. And the other thing that I want to look, and I've been talking to my wife about this, is I know everybody loves fabric lines, right? So I want to make it to where, maybe we can cut some layer cakes or some charms so we can give a little bit of fabric of the entire line and sell those. Now, it might be a little bit more money because there's a lot involved in cutting and whatnot, but I think that will be huge. Like if we can do, let's say we do 15 or 20 Tula Pink layer cake bundles. Yep. Well, I know all those are going to sell out, and they don't have to pay an arm and a leg for the entire bundle. They can get a little bit. They can still make their quilts, but yet they can get the entire line. So that's something else we're shooting for that Seth really wanted us to do was pre-cuts. So that's another thing that we're going to have as an option. And the other cool thing is, and Brian can verify this, one of the ways that we grow our fabric sales so quickly and so well is in a lot of our bundles, we include awesome Martelli products or Martelli templates at wholesale pricing with the bundle. So the bundle fabric might be a little bit more expensive, but one of the way that you really get your value back is by getting a super expensive template at half the cost.
Absolutely. You get like a $70 template. It's
like 30 bucks, 35 bucks. And
you got to assume that 35 is going straight to that fabric. That fabric becomes like $9, $10
Yeah, it
fabric.
becomes a $9 to $10 fabric at that point. So that's one of the
Yeah,
ways, and nobody else can do that, Seth. Because, and I'm not
not
trying to cut you
manufacturer.
off,
Great
but they're not the
bundles.
manufacturer.
I know you've done like tasket basket bundles.
Yes.
They have flown.
The jelly roll rug bundles that you guys did
Yep.
a while back, and I mean,
And let me share this too, Seth. And the reason why nobody, not a single person on fabric, not a single person selling fabric online can do what we do. And this is what I mean. We are the manufacturer. So we can put these products in this bundles at a fraction of the cost, where everybody else selling fabric, if they include stuff in the bundle, they have to buy it at wholesale.
They're
So
losing.
there's no way, they're losing money. So
Right.
you can get the absolute best value buying fabric by either buying it through Martelli Enterprises live Facebook on Thursday. But if you're watching and you're quilting on a budget, I want you to buy it on Quilting on a Budget.
Absolutely.
I'm here to assist Seth, who we have developed a great relationship over the last 2 years, to help him bring his group what they want. That's why I'm here. That's why Brian's here, to help Seth. This is not bringing people over from Seth's group to my group to
No.
buy fabric. This is to
no,
help.
I want people in my group to check you out on Thursdays, because your group, your sales that you do in your group is like one flavor, we'll say.
Yes.
Correct.
And what you're going to be offering to my group is going to be totally different.
Yes.
So
Correct.
it's not going to hurt to check in.
That's a perfect way to say
Well,
it.
you
a
know
flavor.
what? I like that you said that. I just didn't want to throw myself out there. But you know what? That was brilliant, Seth. It's 2 flavor of ice cream. If you like chocolate and you want the higher end bundles with the fabric that we have up there, come check us out. If you want the little bit cheaper bundles or you want the pre-cuts, then you can check us out on Quilting on a Budget. But either way, even if you don't buy, we love to have you attend.
That's right.
We
We'd
want
love
you
to-
there.
Hey, let me tell you something. It's a lot of fun.
It is.
You come to
You'll
you
laugh.
come to our fabric sale. You will be entertained. I promise you that. If nothing else.
Yep, and Miss Hensey said end of the bolt options. That might be a great option for Quilting on the Budget.
That's
Do
right.
the end of the bolts. That might be another great option for Quilting on the Budget.
We will have plenty of that.
And we're also open from ideas. So next thing I want to do is I want to leave my number with you, or Brian's number with you. So if you have ideas for Quilting on the Budget, or Seth, they can reach you if you want. It doesn't matter to me. But everybody has my number, so I don't really care. Seth, how do you want to do that? Do you want them ideas to go to you, to us, or do you want me to give out my number? You tell me what you want me to do.
It doesn't matter. You can give your number out, and then when I repost this in the group, I'll just put a thing. If you got any suggestions, leave them in the comments.
Perfect. Okay, so my cell phone number, and I can be reached at any time for any product. Is if it's a template, if it's a chair, if it's a fabric bundle. Oh, and the other great thing is we are setting up an e-commerce website, so you can get the bundles at a later time. But that's, Seth, we're going to have to bring you on. There was so much information that we didn't even get to.
This was fun.
Yeah, I had a blast. We're going to bring Seth on again in July.
When you can run through without any breaks, something's going all right.
Yeah. So we have a virtual trade show that is set up for Seth for Quilting on a Budget, July 30th. So that's a few months away. It's going to be special pricing specifically for Quilting on a Budget. That's
right.
number one. Number two, as soon as we are set up with comment and sold, we are going to give Seth the link so he can put that on his group so you can get signed up right away.
Re-register.
Re-register,
Yes.
yep.
Yeah.
And then number three, if you want to join us, the Martelli Live Fabric Sales, that's every single Thursday from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, and that is on the Martelli Enterprise main Facebook page. So, no, this Thursday, no, we're taking the next 2 Thursdays off. I've got to tell you about it. We've been so overwhelmed. Oh, that's another thing I wanted to add. Sorry I'm jumping all over the place. But remember when Seth was talking about the cost of fabric? And Seth knows this, but you don't. We have to buy 1,500 yards of fabric a week. That's just for our sale. That doesn't include the Quilting on a Budget sale. So Seth is exactly right. This is a heavy investment, and I love Seth, and I love Quilting on a Budget, and I am willing to invest in this project just because I believe in what he's
you guys are
doing.
able to kind of come in and be my backup, because this was something I couldn't do by myself. And I know the biggest thing I heard from these guys is, I want fabric, how can I get it? And it's just not something I can do. But with you guys, you and Brian, I know I can send my people. I'm not worried about anything happening. I know that the fabrics that you are going to hand out and bundle together
Good
are
quality.
going to be good quality fabrics,
Yes,
because
sir.
I've gotten plenty from you, and you guys run the gamut on makes and designers and so on. I mean, you're a full-fledged fabric supplier there at the shop. So yeah, your willingness to kind of change things up from how you do it to your group, and maybe suit it better to our group, and it gives a lot of good variety.
Yeah, and Seth, I'm glad you said that. For I know you're going to post this on your group, so those of you who are watching us for the first time, there's something that you don't know about Martelli, and I should have told you that. Yes, we're an invention company for sewing, quilting, and crafting, but we do so much more too. We're in the sports industry, but that's neither here nor there. I guess what I was, if I want you to take away anything at all from this conversation, is it works out really well with Seth and what he's doing,
Yes.
because what he does is what we do. It's all, I mean, it couldn't be a perfect, it's like a marriage made in heaven. I mean, that's all
It really
I can
was.
say. It's just how
a
we
God
do
thing.
it.
How about
yeah,
that?
Yeah, there's no doubt. But the last thing that I wanted to add is Martelli, yes, we're an invention company, but we're more than that. We have a storefront. We sell Janome sewing machines, and we bring in every single line of fabric that you can possibly bring in, from the highest end to the middle. But we don't bring in anything cheap. We won't bring in anything cheap. It has to be middle of the road or higher for us to bring it in.
That's right.
And to give you some
We
examples,
won't compromise.
no, to give you some examples, Free Spirit, K Facet,
Michael Miller.
Michael Miller, P&B,
Kona.
P&B, Elizabeth Studios,
Timeless Treasures.
Timeless Treasures.
Oh, man.
Give me some more. What's
Obviously
the one?
Moda. We're going to have Moda.
Yeah, Moda, and then the ones with like a little bicycles. My mind just went
We've
blank.
got
Anyways, you get the point. So we're
If
Yeah,
there's
Northcott.
something
Thank you,
coming
Jimmy.
out that
Northcott.
you guys are trying to look for,
Yeah, give us
let
some
them
examples
know.
of what you're
But
looking
what
for.
most people don't understand about fabric, you see the fabric in the store in the spring. Well, they've already pre-ordered in the fall for that to come
Correct.
out.
Oh yeah.
We have
It's-
fabric
So
that's ordered
there's
for
something
November
that you
of
get wind
2022.
of, Tula Pink's new, because she's normally pretty good about getting the word out ahead of time. If somebody is like, man, I really need that new Tula, well, bring it up to them, and if that's something they can do, they'll do it. Or if it's
Talk for a second.
any one of the other lines that they deal with from their distributors. But fabric is one of those things that once it's released and everybody's put their hand in the pot, unless it's a reoccurring print from that distributor or from that manufacturer, a lot of times when it's gone, and they move on to the next round.
That's right. So here's what, like Seth made a really good point. We just ordered fabric that's got to come in in November of 2022.
7 months. We've been waiting on this.
This,
7 months. This is the new Tula line.
okay, 7 months.
7 months for this, and it still hasn't
Still
come
hadn't in, but it was supposed to be here early last month, and now it's been pushed back. It's
Well,
already been here.
Yeah, but the point is,
Yes.
we will, because we buy. The reason why I went through all that is we buy so much fabric. It would be, if Seth didn't know us, it would be next to impossible to find a company big enough to be able to service his group of a platform of 60,000 people. It would be next to impossible.
It ain't
And
gonna
if I
happen.
didn't think you guys could do it efficiently and do it up to my standards, I wouldn't even, try to make a connection here with this.
No doubt, no
But
doubt.
I've got no doubt that, you guys doing what you do it well. And I've got no doubts handing the reins over to you guys that, my people will be happy and they will be taken care of.
Oh, absolutely. Now, Seth, I wish we had another hour and a half, but our time has come to an end. But we got to do some giveaways. I want to do more.
Yes.
We're going to do 4 giveaways real quick. I'm going to let Jimmy pick 2, and I'm going to pick 2. But, man, this has been a heck of a session. Seth, I cannot thank you enough, man. You are a great guy. I believe in what you're doing. Your group is
We love you,
absolutely
buddy.
amazing. I watched the comments from the people on there. The people are amazing. I cannot wait to start selling fabric to your people, and I hope they come check us out. Just all around, this is the match made in heaven in the quilting
It
industry.
really is.
And I want to thank you so much,
Much
Seth,
love, buddy. Much love.
for allowing us to be a part of something special that you've worked so hard to create.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for all that.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to sign off, Seth. Make sure you post this on your group if you don't mind. And thanks for being a guest. We're going to bring you on again in July, and then we're going to sign off with you. We'll talk to you later. And we're going to do some giveaways.
Awesome, man.
Thanks,
Good
Seth.
Seth, we appreciate you, brother. We'll talk
Appreciate
to
you,
you
my
soon.
man.
See ya.
All right. So, Brian, we got 2 minutes, man. Let's talk about some giveaways.
All right.
Let's do. I'm going to pick 2, Jimmy, and I'm going to let you pick 2. Okay.
All right.
So let's do, the first one we're going to talk about is the new Martelli wool balls that you put in your dryer. There's a lot of features. You can go online and get the features and the
They're
benefits.
awesome. Hey, a little
These
bit
are
of
awesome.
essential oil on that, and you
Smell good.
It'll last for load after load after load after load.
Okay, so I am going to, drum roll, guys. Stop. Nancy Wilson!
Wilson!
Congratulations. Nancy, if you don't know us and you're not signed up with us, please call 850-542-4440. Again, that's 850-542-4440.
We're going to put it on the screen for you.
Yep.
There you go.
Yep, and then I'm gonna do one more. I'm gonna do a jelly roll giveaway. Yeah, let's do a jelly roll giveaway.
Okay, let's do it.
It says Swiss rolls, whatever that means. Really cool jelly roll, cool colors. And
doesn't
drum
like
roll,
Swiss roll?
boys. Woo! Stop. Kathy Dyer!
Kathy Dyer!
Kathy Dyer, congratulations.
Well, she deserved it.
Wouldn't she she
all-
was mentioned earlier.
Oh,
Good
was she?
day.
She
Hey!
did the question.
All right.
She's about Rushmore of quilting on a
Oh,
budget.
that's right.
That's right.
All right,
That's right.
Kathy, so you
Good
don't know
job.
anything about us then.
What
Okay.
a deserving person.
Yes, absolutely. 850-542-4440. Please call that number and leave your name, and just tell them you won the jelly rolls. Leave your name and your shipping address so we can get that to you, please.
Contact information. That's
Yep.
it.
Now, if
Congrats.
anybody that wins lives in Canada, you have to pay for the shipping, but at least you get a free product out of it.
Yeah.
All right, so those are the 2 winners. All right, next we have a new tool bag, which is really awesome.
That
It's amazing.
they gotta get it in their hands.
Yep.
gotta
They get
it in
something
their
like
This is something. It's 13 pockets and 2 zippers, and it's a really great tool bag. And it has buttons on the side, and it has a
It
little
expands
handle.
or contracts. It's
So,
awesome.
Jimmy, I'm going to let you on Facebook. I'm going to let you pick the tool pouch. So go ahead, drum roll.
Julie Adams Belcher.
Julie
Adams Belcher. Good job.
Belcher.
Gotta love giveaways.
If you're new, Miss Belcher, please call the number on the screen. Make sure they have your name, shipping address, and phone number in case there's any mistakes made. We want to make sure we
Julie
get
Adams Belcher with the bag.
Yep. And okay, one more, Jimmy. Pick one more. We have a great tool set.
Oh, this is a good one. This is the mini screwdriver set. You gotta have them for your glasses, for all the
Tools,
machines.
glasses, machines, toys. They have different tips. They're magnetic tips, and you can use them like they're ratchets
That's
because
right.
they turn at the very end. So this is a really cool product. So Jimmy, drum roll, Brian.
Let's go.
Lorraine Rogness.
Lorraine
Roginus,
Oh,
Miss Roginus.
We know Miss Roginus.
Hey!
Hey, Miss Lorraine.
Good job.
Man, I tell you what, this is one of my favorite shows we've done to date. This was episode 5, and this
Six.
was episode 6. It was Face Bill. What was the name of the show?
Face
anyway?
Bill.
No, hold on.
Seth.
Hold on, let me get this. Social media and building a successful Facebook
And you know
group.
what? Seth has done that.
He has
Yes,
done
he
that.
has.
If you listen to anything and the character that goes behind him, you'll see why he is so successful in everything that he does.
You will not find a better guy. I am looking forward to the day that I can shake his hand in person, but incredibly talented guy, has a lot of great marketing ideas, and I've learned a lot from him.
Yes.
So
In
it's
a
been
great Facebook group. I'm
Yeah.
a part. I'm a member.
60,000 people.
What a wonderful person.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
It
for him
doesn't
to go
get
out
better
of his
than
way,
that. It
No.
doesn't get better than
And
that.
for him to go out of his way, he doesn't have to go out of his way to make sure his people are taken care of and get nothing out of it.
Yeah.
He loves his people.
He's taking
You know?
care of them. This
Yeah,
is why you
absolutely.
build a successful group like that.
Anyways,
love you.
if you're watching Quilting on a Budget, thank you for joining us. Make sure you tune in to Talking Martelli. Again, this is more than quilting. Talking Martelli, we do every single Tuesday from 2 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. Set a timer and join us. Talking Martelli. You'll see some cool products. And here's the thing: you always have a chance to win.
Always.
All you have to do is show up and watch. Tuesday, 2 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, right here on YouTube. Talking Martelli. Until next week, have a great weekend.
We love you guys.
Bye-bye.